oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. One day right down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Hi, this is Todd Hollis. Welcome to Civil Action. Today I'm excited. I mean, you probably don't know why I'm excited, but I have one of my favorite journalists on the show. Emmy award-winning journalist, Pittsburgh legend. You've probably seen her over the course of 45 years whenever you turn on your television. I have Miss Brenda Waters. Miss Waters, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh my God.
My favorite attorney. Absolutely my favorite attorney.
Well,
don't let the others hear. No, you are. You know you are. You know you are. Absolutely.
I love you so much. Thank you very, very much for being a guest on Civil Action. I mean, I had no idea that you were a guest on Guiding Light.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My former news director, I think he was probably maybe 4 or 5 news directors ago, he realized that folks in Pittsburgh loved soap operas.
Right.
So he would send me to Los Angeles, to New York, and to do stories on the actors.
Oh, my God.
And the story itself. Usually when that reporter went there, they put you right in the soap.
Right.
So I got to play a reporter, which was so funny.
45 years of broadcasting here in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yes, I was still in my mother's womb when I started, you know.
Of course you were.
Reporter ever.
Right. Started off in what, Richmond, Virginia?
Well, actually, I started off in Washington, D.C. in a paid internship that Max Robinson, I don't know if you remember him or not, he was the first African-American on national news, ABC World News Tonight, Max Robinson.
I remember the name, right.
Yes, he was in Washington, D.C. as one of the main anchors there. And he and some of the other African-American reporters and anchors demanded that they have a minority training program as a part of their union contract. So he wanted to train people in front of the camera, behind the camera. So I was a part of that paid internship. And that was in 1973. I was in grad school at the time. Trying to write a thesis, and I'm learning how to write news. So didn't go well. My professor kept saying, Brenda, I need you to expound on this more. But I was learning how to write news, so it was very short. He goes, no, go back and rewrite this. I need it longer. So it was a great time. And I think in 1973, the internship paid $17,000. It's still going on today.
Okay.
And it pays about $35,000, which is, a great start.
Sure.
And it was funny because first job in Richmond paid less than I was making as a paid intern, which was a shock.
You made less in Richmond than what you made as an intern.
Oh yeah. That's what
gosh.
we tell the interns when they come in. Unless your father owns a TV station, you're probably going to go to some little tiny market and make no money.
Right.
And then and stay there a year and just work your way up till you get where you want to be.
Right. So you first came to Pittsburgh, you were with WIIC, which is
PXI.
Right, which is now WPXI.
Right.
Okay, and did you start as a beat correspondent, or did you start off?
I was a reporter.
Okay.
I think I may have done some fill-in anchoring in the morning.
Okay.
I think so, because Lauren Mann was the morning anchor.
I remember Lauren. For many, many years.
Right.
So, I mean, you came in the early 70s, and I
moved here in 1979 around the time of TMI. And everybody kept saying, please don't move to Pittsburgh. There's a nuclear explosion there. You're going to glow in the dark. Please don't go to Pittsburgh. So I moved here right in the middle of all that in 1979 in March.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, how many African-American women correspondents were there, during that time?
Let's see, there was Kathy Milton.
I remember Kathy. She was with Channel 4, right?
She was with Channel 4.
Okay.
God, let me see, who was at Channel 11 with me? I can't even, I know there was Bev Smith on the talk show. I think Lynn Hayes Freeland was her producer. Rahima Ellis was here. Dorothy Tucker later came at 2. Mm-hmm. There were quite a few.
Yeah, that surprises me because obviously I know you and Len. I've known you guys almost since the start of my business. I remember Miss Milton, although I don't know her very well. But I don't remember there being a whole lot of African-American women in the business, at least when I first started 26 years ago. Right. Well, tell me about the journey. I mean, my gosh, 45 years. How do you feel?
I had not planned to stay here this long, but I'm from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And it's only a 4.5 hour drive for me. Mm-hmm. Some people drive to D.C. in 3.5 hours, and we're probably one of them. And my parents were older. As a matter of fact, when my mother was pregnant with me, she was in her 40s. So they teased her about, have you guys seen that old lady who's pregnant? Well, that was me. That was in her belly. So my parents were older. So I was comfortable here because I knew I could just jump in my car and go home if something happened.
Right.
And that, that's what they were both ill at one time. And that's why I stayed here so long. I have a sister in Los Angeles. Okay. And my brother lived in Maryland, but he's a guy. So, and guys are good, but they don't see the same kind of things that women see when it comes to like what parents need.
I understand.
If you tell them, if you need, if I could say, Mom and Dad need anything. Do they need coffee? Do they need anything in the house? Nah, they're good. But then I would go and I'm like, yeah, they do. But he would go get it if you tell him. But guys just don't notice the little intricate things that women notice.
Okay, I won't argue with you about that. Right. I won't argue with that. But let me ask you this question: What are some of the challenges that you see or you saw, as an African American journalist? I mean, at least when you started in the 70s.
When I started, and still now, I don't think things have changed, but a lot hasn't changed. So some of the challenges going out as a reporter in the field is that you'd go to these little small towns and you talk to these fire chiefs or police chiefs, and sometimes they would give the white reporters a little bit of more information than they would give you. And thankfully, most of the reporters are cool with each other.
Sure.
And they would say, Brenda, did they tell you about so-and-so? I'm like, no, he didn't tell me that. He goes, well, yeah, he told me that, and this is what he said. So a lot of times they don't give you quite all the information that they would give a white reporter.
Wow. How do you deal with that?
You just put your head up and go. Like I said, we're pretty tight. Most of the reporters are pretty close. Yeah. So, I would get the information. And sometimes I would call and say, well, you didn't tell me that. Well, you didn't ask me that. Well, neither did they. So I was the kind of person who would call and, and call you on it if you didn't give me information. But it was just part of being a Black reporter.
Right. So, do you have a relationship with some of the present day, Black reporters, at least I'm sure you probably know most of them, but do you still have that kind of camaraderie?
Yes, I do. And as a matter of fact, when I retired, I think I must have cried for 3 days. I'm looking at Facebook and people are writing such like amazing things. And I'm like, what? I never even know they noticed me. And they're saying things like, I first came to town. You were the first person who came up to me and said, welcome, where are you from? If I can help you out, And then some of the reporters are saying, we are in this business to compete. But if I saw Brenda on a story with me, I knew she had my back. I'm tearing up. I knew she always had my back. So, that kind of thing. Yeah. And we still talk to each other on the phone. We text, we talk to each other on Facebook. So yeah, and this is the Black reporters and the white reporters. And then several of the white reporters will say, you remember I was an intern at KDK and I remember you encouraged me and you helped me so much. And I'm like, wow, okay, thanks. And many of them, I remember when they were there,
Yeah. I was going to say that, in my circle, dealing with other attorneys, whenever your name would come up, we always, spoke so highly of you, and you were always so very well respected.
Wow, thank you.
We were sad to hear of your retirement, but of course, we understand that that's sometimes the nature of the business. But my gosh, you left such a huge legacy and huge, shoes to fill. I mean, I miss you already.
Thank you. And the thing with dealing with attorneys and police chiefs and fire chiefs, if you guys say, okay, this is off the record, I'm going to tell you this, but do not say anything about it until tomorrow, until next week.
Embargo.
You have to keep your word. You have to keep your word. Otherwise, you're never going to get another thing from Todd Hollis, police chief. Like, you call his office, I don't know you. Call me here. So you have to keep your word. And that's the one thing that I tell these young journalists. If you're told not to say something, don't say anything. You must be able to keep your word.
Yeah.
You have to have a good conscience in this business. I know you want to beat the next station and be the first on with something, but I think it's more important to keep your word.
That's huge. I mean, we've had cases, we've had, to ask, reporters or journalists to sort of embargo things until, we presented them, to the public. And I had some questions as to whether, some journalists would hold to that agreement. Fortunately, they have, but I learned a lot. Most of that, some of the things I learned from you. I know. I think one time I had a story and I released it to national media before I released it to local media. And I called you, didn't you? Yeah, I got a call from Ms. Waters. I said, okay, I'll never do that again, and again, it's that love, it's that respect, it's that relationship that, I've had with you, that has helped my career. And I'm sure there's a ton of other people who would say the same thing, but I had somebody who cared enough about me, who felt comfortable with me, that she picked up the phone to spank my bum, because I didn't follow protocol. You know what I mean? So God bless you for that. I probably needed it, and I've never done it again.
Okay, good.
So you'll be proud of me.
Okay.
All right. So let me ask you this. I mean, now you're retired. Tell us what you're doing now.
It's been 4 months.
Okay.
So the first months were things like switching over insurance, switching over the 401k, the pension, that kind of thing. So that took a few months to get all that stuff in order.
Okay.
I have some really good friends in Atlanta who are pushing me to move there. So I'm still here.
Okay.
I don't know what I want to do yet. I did apply for a job with Senator Casey's office. It was the regional director for his Pittsburgh office, downtown Pittsburgh. And they really wanted someone with managerial skills. Okay. I've never managed like office of people. So I didn't get that job, needless to say. So that would have been the thing that would have kept me here. That would have been an interesting job. So I don't know what I'm going to do right now.
I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, do you think that you want to at least stay close to journalism, maybe work on a freelance basis? Do you think you maybe just want to, kind of do something different?
I think my next chapter, yeah. I want to do something different. I have a master's degree in public relations, and I would like to be a spokesperson, community relations, PR, that kind of thing, maybe for one of the universities, for a company, something like that, community liaison, that kind of thing.
That sounds interesting. So if anybody is watching, this show and they have, a spokesperson position, Miss Waters can be contacted. And I as her agent, of course, I'll do with the negotiations.
You get 10%.
10% is fine. 10% is fine. Well, I mean, I see so much going on in today's, Pittsburgh genre, so to speak. I mean, there's so much going on with Black Lives Matter. I mean, we got this election going on. Sometimes I want to pick up the phone and I want to call you to get your perspective. And I'm like, dang, she's always objective. You know what I mean? But now you don't necessarily have to be objective. I mean, now, you're kind of watching all this unfold. What's your take on it?
It's really interesting not to be a part of it. I retired May 29th. And May 30th is when the protest began in Pittsburgh. Right. And one of the KDKA photographers was beaten up.
I remember that.
Ian Smith. And I'm like, my God, I probably would have been with him that day. Paul Martino was with him. I mean, any of us could have been with him. So it's surreal to sit and watch this unfold in front of me. And in terms of politics, it's people, even before I retired, people would come up to me and say things that they thought about before but never said to me before. I mean, I was still getting mail at the station calling me the N-word. From that came through our mailroom. So Jesus. People were saying things they didn't say before. And I think that this present administration has really divided the country, created or at least brought it forth, a mean streak. And I know mean only has 4 little letters, but it speaks volumes. And I think many people are just mean. And I think this present administration encourages that kind of behavior. So I think this country is really divided, racially divided. I saw
a story where our second lady, received some very racist remarks while she was attempting to shop, and I was horrified.
It was. She said she left that day without her security just to run to the store, and that's what happened. But I love Giselle, and she holds no animosity towards this woman. She wants the woman to get help, and they don't want to prosecute. They're just 2 wonderful people.
Yeah, they really are. And God bless her. I mean, she spends a great deal of her time, trying to make Pittsburgh better. Yes. You know what I mean? So I can't thank you enough. I mean, geez, Manise. I mean, you have done so much for so many people for so long. And I am truly honored, to have had this opportunity, to spend with you. I have no doubt that whatever you do going forward, you're going to be successful at it. You always have been. So God bless you so much.
Thank you, sir. And going forward, I'd like to see more people of color in management positions in our newsrooms, making decisions. You don't see that. We didn't have that at KDKA. I'd like to see more people of color behind the anchor desk during primetime newscasts. I'm talking about the 5 and the 6 and the 10 and the 11. And to the young reporters coming up, I just want to tell them to be a good journalist, to be a good person, to have a good conscience, and to make sure that you keep your word.
Excellent points. Excellent points. And certainly, they would be learning from the best, which I clearly believe that you are. So, thank you so much, Brenda. God bless you. Best of luck in everything that you do. And I'm definitely going to call you because I'm not going to let you get too far away from me.
You know my numbers, all of them.
All right. Thank you again.
And give Gia a hug for me.
I definitely will. I remember when you came to the house to do the story, and she said, who's that? Who's that lady, Daddy? And I said, that's one of the best. You know what I mean? I said, that's one of the best. So thanks again, Brenda. That's my show. Brenda Waters. I mean, truly the best. I mean, if you guys, want to leave her a comment on this link, please do so. She's done so much for our city for so daggone long. And, it's a shame to see her go. I would much rather have her stay, but, Unfortunately, I don't have that call. But thank you again, Brenda. God bless you. And thanks again. This is Todd Hollis from Civil Action. Good night.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort